All right, let's talk about one of the greats, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. For almost 100 years, this story has just captured people's imaginations. And yeah, it's got dragons and dwarves and a whole lot of treasure. But what really makes it stick, what makes it so timeless, is something way deeper.
And it all boils down to this one simple question. What is a hero? What makes someone a hero? Because this story, it isn't about some destined king or a powerful warrior. Nope. It's about an ordinary person, someone who loves nothing more than a quiet, comfortable life. And it's about how that person can find this incredible courage right when it matters most. So, how does Tolkien pull that off? Let's get into it.
So, first things first, we have to meet our hero, Bilbo Baggins. I mean, he is the story. If you get Bilbo, you get why this book is so special. So, you might be asking, what is a hobbit? Well, picture this. They're these little folks who are all about comfort. They live in a place called the Shire, which is super peaceful and green. The biggest event of the day? Probably second breakfast. Seriously. Bilbo's life is all about routine, safety, good food, and absolutely positively no adventures. And you know what? He's completely fine with that. Loves it, in fact. And this is where everything gets turned upside down. On one hand, you've got Bilbo's whole world. Peace, comfort, quiet, total predictability. Then, bam. On the other hand, you get the call to adventure. A wizard, Gandalf, literally shows up on his doorstep with a whole bunch of loud, rowdy dwarves. And they're talking about dragons and quests. It's the exact opposite of everything Bilbo wants. He's suddenly yanked into this wild, scary world he wanted no part of.
And this visit, yeah, it's not just a casual pop-in. This is the beginning of a truly dangerous quest. It's a journey that's going to drag Bilbo miles and miles away from his cozy little home and make him see a side of the world he didn't even know existed.
Okay, so here's the mission, the big why. The dwarves, they're on a quest to get their kingdom back. Their home, their treasure, everything was taken by this terrifying dragon, Smaug. And they need a burglar to help them. For some reason that Bilbo absolutely cannot figure out, Gandalf thinks he's the hobbit for the job. Talk about high stakes, right?
Now, when you break it down like this, it almost sounds simple. Almost. But don't let that fool you. Step one, just, travel across the huge, dangerous, and mostly unknown lands of Middle-earth. Easy, right? Step two, face the dragon. The actual fire-breathing, terrifying dragon Smaug and his own lair. And then, if you survive all that, step three is the reward. You get the kingdom back. That is the absolutely daunting task sitting in front of poor Bilbo.
Okay, but here's the thing. The quest is exciting, for sure, but the real story, the part that makes it so brilliant, is what this adventure does to Bilbo. We're moving past just the plot now and into the real core of the book, how a journey can completely change someone. Because this journey forces him to deal with some really big ideas. There's the obvious one, courage. He's scared, all the time, but he keeps finding this bravery deep inside himself. He's the perfect example of an unexpected hero. But he also sees the dark side of things, right? He sees how the dwarves' obsession with treasure, their greed, can be so toxic, which just makes his own simple generosity shine even brighter. And maybe most importantly, the farther he gets from his house, the more he starts to understand what home and who he really is. And this moment, this quote, it just sums it all up beautifully. This is Thorin Oakenshield talking. He's the leader of the dwarves, and at the start, he was the last person who believed in Bilbo. He thought he was useless, but by the end, even he has to admit it. He sees the courage, the wisdom that this whole ordeal has pulled out of this quiet little hobbit. It's just the perfect payoff for Bilbo's entire journey. So Bilbo's journey is the heart of the book, but the book's impact is, it's massive. The Hobbit is so much more than just one hobbit's adventure. It's a cornerstone of literature. It built a world and left behind this incredible legacy that we're still feeling today. Get this, 1937. That's when this book came out. Just think about that. We are decades and decades later. And we're still talking about it, still reading it, still making explainers like this one. If that doesn't prove how timeless and powerful the story is, I don't know what does.
And you have to understand, before The Hobbit, the fantasy genre wasn't really what it is today. Tolkien didn't just write a story. He built an entire world, Middle-earth. He gave it history, he gave it languages, he drew maps. It had so much detail and depth that it literally became the blueprint for almost all modern fantasy. It set the standard.
And of course, for so many people, this is the starting point. It's the perfect way to get into Tolkien's massive world. It's a bit more lighthearted, a bit more of a fun adventure, which makes it the perfect gateway into the, much bigger, much more epic story of The Lord of the Rings. It's a fantastic story by itself, but it also kind of cracks open the door to something even bigger.
Which leads to that famous line, "The road goes ever on and on." It just captures the whole feeling of the book, doesn't it? Bilbo's specific adventure might be over, but the road, that idea of exploration, of new journeys waiting just around the corner, that never ends. And that really brings us back to the beginning. What The Hobbit shows us so perfectly is that heroes aren't born, they're made. They're forged on the journeys they decide to take, even reluctantly, and they can pop up in the most unlikely places, in the most unlikely people. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? What adventure is waiting for you? What road is calling your name? Thanks for digging into this with me.